All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Born to be Rich podcast. I'm your host, Judy King, and we have a very special guest today, Nicole Bliss, all the way over there on the Sunshine Coast, like, I don't know, 5 minutes away.
About that. Yeah. Hi.
Nicole is a very close friend of mine, and she's also worked with me as a client inside of Transformational Coaching Mastery Certification Level 1. So we've got that, client coach relationship we've had in the past and a beautiful soul level friendship. So it's such an honor to have you on today's episode, which is clearly going to be a coaching episode where we get to dive into you and help you have this really powerful and significant shift. How
Yeah,
does that
amazing.
sound?
I'm so excited. Thank you. It sounds amazing, and I can't wait. I'm super, super excited.
Ooh, awesome. Me too. So we would love to know a little bit about you, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and kind of a little bit of context as we move
Mhm.
forward into looking what's showing up for you.
Okay, wonderful. I my oh, sort of funny. Again, it's like it's so easy to talk about who I am. Where do I start? So I am a solo mama. I live on the Sunshine Coast. I have two beautiful boys that I call wildlings. They are 9 and almost 7. Um, they are beautiful, beautiful humans, and I'm super grateful that they're in my life. They are my biggest triggers and mirrors and my biggest teachers, and my biggest joy as well. So I have them on my own 100% of the time, and have done for the past 5 years now. Um, and yeah, I guess that's so balancing being a solo mama, and sort of doing it all with working full time. I work in corporate, as a senior partnerships manager for an online education business, and yeah, basically manage accounts for them. I manage their Queensland accounts. Um, Also doing a whole lot of other learnings and side things to, at some point, possibly change direction and do things that are more in alignment with, my soul purpose and what lights me up. Hence having done the work with you in the past and had that experience and those learnings. And um yeah, I guess that's sort of my high level.
Yeah, amazing. And so when I put it out there for a courageous soul to put their hand up and have life coaching, you were there. You were like, yes, sign me up. And so I
Hmm.
want to firstly honor you for that because it does take, a willingness and a courage to look at yourself and to have someone shine the light on aspects that potentially we aren't seeing ourselves. And I
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
just, yeah, I also wanted to just share a little bit about the things that were showing up for you and the challenges that you're facing. And so it was around like this inability to trust others, not receiving from others, um, and feeling as though there's this kind of impatience to have what you want to have in your life. And that it's something
Mhm.
we've been experiencing for a little while. When I asked you what you thought that was kind of where that was coming from, you said, I feel like it's protection. And so I want to ask you in the sense of whichever area you want to dive into first, whether that be around trusting
Mhm.
others or um, not able to receive from others or not trusting in the process. How does that look? Where do you want to go into first? And how does that look for you? How does that show up for you?
I think that the not trusting the process is that sort of connected to the others as well, in that I have an amazing network around me, and I know I have support when I need it, and even if I'm not asking for it, and not wanting to receive it in those moments when I most need it, it happens. I logically know that, but that part of of trusting that it's always there. I'm that part of trusting that if it's not there in that moment, that's okay too. That's someone else's, not everyone is here to serve me and do what I need in any given moment. Everyone has their own lives, their own journeys that they're on. And that, I think that the trusting, the trust bit is probably the biggest bit. And I don't know, it feels like it all feels very separate, but it all feels very connected as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that,
absolutely.
the impatience of wanting everything, I have this vision of my life and it's just in front of me, and I know I'm taking all the steps I need to make it happen, and even enjoying the journey in certain moments, but not the majority of the moments.
Yeah. And how does it show up for
Yeah.
you? So when you're
It's so,
feeling when you're feeling like you don't know if you can trust, or how does that show up in the feeling or the internal dialogue, the behaviors?
in feelings, in my body, it feels very like I'm being hurt. It feels like if I'm wanting something and needing something and have either asked or not asked and just expecting it to show up, when it's not showing up for me, it feels like a rejection of me and my journey, my life. Like, maybe this isn't what I'm meant to be doing. Maybe this isn't where I'm meant to be. Maybe, this moment in time, this place, on this sort of journey to move out of the corporate, it's like when I'm not getting what I think I need in those moments, it feels like a rejection. And a disconnection, I guess. And it
And
just brings up all the self-doubt and all this. Yeah.
yeah. And so you're talking about in the context of in your business, like in your side business, where things are not showing up for you, or you're talking about
Everything.
in the context of in relationships, people being there for you,
Everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, if things aren't happening as fast as I want them to in the side business, if people aren't where I want them to be in my life, if people aren't showing up the way I want them to, like I said, even if, if I've not asked, or if I have asked, if I have asked and they're not showing up, then that's even more intense, which is where I'm like, well, I'm just not going to ask. I fall back into that. I can just do it all myself. I don't need help.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you do that, how do you support yourself when and if you go into this response where you're feeling rejected and you're feeling like the self-doubt is happening, and you go into this, I don't need anyone and I'll just do it myself. How do you support yourself through that?
Am I allowed? Am I allowed to swear?
Sure.
I get into a really fuck you like frame of mind, and
Yeah.
it's like, and that it almost fuels me to just do what I need to do.
Yeah.
It's like that, yeah, that rejection makes me go, you can all go and do what you need to do and be away from me and be out of my life. And, this journey that I'm on in trying to, get things happening on the side, it's like, you know what, that can just fuck off too. I'm just done with that. And I'm just, and then whatever anger, I guess, that brings up kind of fuels me to do something, take the next steps, do the next things of whatever needs to be happening, like actually get up off the couch, get out of bed, do what I need to do in my day-to-day life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I feel like I don't ever go into like wallow mode when things aren't working out the way I want them to, I go into fuck you mode and I go into anger mode, and then I go into like, I'm going to get shit done, not relating to anything that had triggered me to be in this mood. So it's kind of counterproductive of, if I could just actually channel that towards what I need to channel it towards, then, maybe I'd make more progress. But instead I'll go and clean a cupboard, or, something completely random that's not connected in any way to what has triggered me to have these emotions and feel this way.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I'm hearing you in all of this. And so this is what happens. Like, we go into a response and we have, these responses that ignite. So they're basically triggering something from the past. And our response to that is potentially a trauma response, where it can be a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So
Yeah.
what it sounds like a little bit is you're going into this kind of flighty response, where it's this kind of anxious, irritable, impulsive, reactive space that is lots of energy, a lot of energy out, right? Like, if you think of fighting, like, that's what we do. We get energy to unleash, right? And so potentially there's like an urge to run away, and that urge to just be like, fuck you, because that's that fightiness that's in there. And so one of the important things is just to really, really understand that in those moments, that's what's going on, right? Like, that this is the response that I'm running right now. And it's because I feel unsafe, right? If you think about why do we have those responses, is because I'm not feeling safe at some level. It's activated something within me. And so it's like the body becomes flooded with hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, and it's like, I need to fucking fight something and someone, attack something, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and I feel that that's been my state for a very long time. It was definitely my state, in it's been my state definitely since my separation. It was my state for the vast majority of my relationship. And if I go back before that relationship, I'd lost my dad, and was absolutely in a fight. Like, I did not deal at all with the grieving process.
Yeah.
So it was all avoiding.
From that.
Yeah. So I feel like that's probably the biggest problem, is that it is such a long-term thing, that even when I do feel I've made, I've done something and I've made some progress and I have more awareness and I have some more tools, in those most crucial moments, I just sink back really quickly into that fight or flight, that state.
And so
absolutely feeling.
Yeah, totally. And so what the focus is going to be for you is, in those moments, versus continuing to run that pattern, it's having the awareness that this is what I'm doing and interrupting the pattern, right? The pattern interrupt is going to be, can be as something of saying, oh, Nicole, right now I see that I'm in this response, right? Like, I see that I'm in this flight or fight response. And so from there is understanding and finding, through experimenting, what are the things that are going to support me in those moments to actually regulate my nervous system. Because when you continue to carry out the cleaning out the thing, right, you're still in that response. And so it's being able to stop that ultimately and like call yourself out. I know, and that you're doing it, right? Like, you're not brand new to this. So you have a heightened awareness already of what's going on and what's playing out. So then it's being super supportive to yourself, because your needs are the things that are not being met. And so how do we provide that for ourselves is going to be the main thing for you. Is while we may want someone else to provide that for us, and that feels really good, there are times when providing that for ourselves is the only thing that we can do. And so it's about creating that safety within yourself, because that piece of feeling unsafe is going to ripple out through everything when that is what's present and alive in your own body. And so there's this undercurrent of fear that plays out and is playing out because you're in that, like you say, you're in this constant state. And this is what's happened in today's world. And I've experienced it as well, being in this response that the nervous system just doesn't have time to calm the fuck down. Right. And so
Yeah.
where our work is to find the ways it's going to support our nervous system to come back into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. And so, again, we can know these things and not actually do them, not actually commit to them. And they actually don't need to take a long time. So, I want you now to just take a breath in through the nose and breathe out through your mouth. And again, breathe in and breathe out. One more, breathing in and breathing out. Notice the sensations. Notice the slowing down of the heart rate. Might even feel some tingling. And then you can also, just even bring awareness into your body and the sensation of your body in the seat. Feeling the weight of your bottom in the seat. Feeling held by the seat that you're sitting in. Notice also the sensation of the ground underneath your feet. Feeling how supported your feet are right now, with your feet resting on the floor or whatever it is that's underneath you, and noticing that support from the feet as well, that you're being held here. So it's just, like that just was like a couple of minutes of a few breaths and presencing into our bodies and into the support that we actually have underneath us. And that in itself can sometimes be enough to bring in that sense of safety. How do you feel right now?
Like really peaceful.
Yeah, you look
And
it.
that's
And
not being like,
even the change of
yeah.
your voice, right? It's like it's like this exhale.
Yeah, it was a big exhale. And literally on the third breath, so I'm gonna cry. Like I just had tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breath is so powerful. And then we were breathing together. So we're actually co-regulating together. Such a beautiful thing to breathe with someone, it's supports the regulation. And it's so simple. And sometimes it's like, how can it actually be that simple? And we can, especially when you're a busy mom and you've got a full-time job and you've got two kids that you're the sole carer for, it's like, how do I have time? Right. And we could think or look externally and be like, you need to have this morning routine and you need to do and spend 2 hours. And you're like, what the hell? There's no way I can do that.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's like in between the moments when you notice yourself. So the other thing I wanted to say is Nicole is a generator, a pure generator. And so that's her human design energetic type. And Nicole and I have done a little bit of work around, her understanding her human design, but it's kind of, not been something you've gone deep into or like fully, there's
No.
bits and pieces that and that you work with. And
Yeah.
what I love about human design is it brings forth these access points for us to see why and what could be happening and what could be going on in your life. So I'm going to pull something from that, because something just came to my mind and it was something that stood out to me. And this is kind of how I do it. I do it very intuitively of what I feel could be playing out and what's going on. So, firstly, I just want to say how simple it can be for you to take a few moments to regulate your nervous system when you're in those moments. So that if you get nothing else and you just start to do that one thing and you notice when you're in that response and you take
Yeah.
time for yourself, right? It can be right now in this moment rather than, expressing myself and attacking, I want to pause and take a few breaths for myself, right? Like simple as that. And
Yeah.
it's not always going to be easy. It's simple. It's not always easy, but
Yeah.
something that is very simple in that regard is going to be really supportive to you because I know,
Yeah. And the fact that that 3 breaths had such a big impact
yeah,
just in that moment there.
yeah,
It's like, my mind's going, and I do tend to go, well, yeah, I need to have if I'm going to do some breathing, I need to set up my little room. I have to have a ceremony, get my cacao ready, put a
yeah,
candle on. I
yeah,
have to make it part of my routine. I have to do it on a regular basis and, get stuck in it needs to be perfect.
yeah.
But it doesn't. It really
No,
doesn't. Like that in itself, those 3 breaths just allowed emotion to bubble up, allowed me to sort of just sigh into my body, which I
mm,
haven't done for weeks and weeks and weeks,
yeah,
and just, yeah, settle.
beautiful, beautiful.
Mm, thank you.
You're welcome. So that is what I want you to play with, the simple ways. And it can also be laughter. It can also be pulling for funny faces with the boys.
Hmm.
Brooklyn and I do it quite a lot where we just try to make each other laugh. And so we take it in turns.
Yeah.
Laughter, play, being a kid again, doing the things that we used to do as a kid. Like it's great when you have kids because they can ignite that within us. And we can
Yeah.
sometimes get annoyed and be like, stop doing that, stop being so silly. But actually, we need to be silly,
Yeah.
like stop being
Let
so
it out.
SSD, serious, significant, and dramatic, mom. It's like fucking lighten the fuck up, right? With love, I say this. And it's laughter and
SSD. I
play.
love it.
Yeah. And we don't do that enough. And especially when we're busy and
Yeah.
we become so serious about everything that we're trying to create and the vision that we've got and we're trying to move towards that and it's not happening fast enough. And right, it's like we forget about just presencing and being here now. And another great way to do it is, just looking outside and out of my window, I can see the trees, I can see the blue sky, I can see the clouds, just really presencing. Again, takes a few
Yeah.
moments to really appreciate and be here in the moment with that. And that can get us out of the
Hmm.
past. Ultimately, it's about bringing us back and bringing us into our bodies. So,
Yeah.
right, again, it's like finding those quick ways that you can release. And another great way, which um, I love to do, and even on In Her Authority, we had a beautiful friend of mine run a session on trauma responses specifically. And so she
Hmm.
started with us is shaking. So
Hmm.
again, it literally can take a couple of minutes, right? Like, or
Yeah.
seconds even, where you literally, if you're in that high response, like high energy response, it's literally just shaking out, like dogs and tigers and things when they
Yes.
go after when they go for the attack, whatever, then they'll like shake it out. And then we're the same. So
Yeah.
it's like moving that energy and shaking that energy out of your body. So has somewhere to move. Right. And so that is another really simple, very quick thing that you don't need to set up. You don't need to do it for hours. It's literally like a few seconds and you shake your arms and you shake your legs and you shake your hands and your wrists and whatever else, shake your booty. So love a bit of booty shake. So that's what I want you to really focus on.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Hmm.
as a generator, you're a natural go-getter. That's obvious. You're powerful. You're consistent. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. You don't quit until you're there. It's that. You've got lots of energy. You've got this life force within you. You're magnetic. Someone people can rely on and depend on. And the thing is, like, not everyone's the same as you. Plus, a lot of times what happens is we do have these unspoken agreements within relationships where we expect a certain thing, but we actually haven't spoken it. So the other thing is to really look at what are my standards and my boundaries and what have I communicated and what haven't I communicated? And the more we can actually communicate really powerfully and ask for our needs to be met from a really regulated place as well, then that's going to enhance. It may not be that you always get what you want, but what it's going to do is enhance the understanding and the relatability and the conversation between the people that matter in your life and that actually do support you and are there for you. Right. So there's so many expectations that we have in relationships that are unspoken. And there might be needs that we have in friendships where it's like, you know, I've got a friend, she's one of my best friends. She lives in the States, and we committed to each other that we speak every week. And, you know, that was just a thing that we both, well, she needed it, especially over COVID and things. And she was like, I really need for us to talk every week. And so as a friend, I honor that and I am there for her. And so, but she communicated her need, right? And so then I get to rise to that and say, yeah, I'm here for you. And provide. It's like in any relationship, right? Where there's times when we're going to want to be there to offer what and to have their needs be met, and vice versa, right? Like us communicating, like what she did. What these are my needs in a friendship. I need to be able to speak to you once a week, or I need us to get together once every 2 weeks, or whatever it may be. And then you make that request, and then then the work obviously is in those boundaries of making sure that's met. Because sometimes it's easy that you ask for it, you agree on it, and then it just falls away, right?
Yes.
So again, that's just comes back to communication. How am I holding the standard of what I've communicated, and then how am I communicating my boundaries around that when and if that's not happening? Or am I just letting it slide and be like, oh, it's pointless. What's the point of doing it? Right. And it's,
which is my go-to.
Yeah, totally. So when you come back into a regulated place and then you communicate from that, when you regulate your nervous system and you come into calm again, then that's the place where we want to be making those requests and communicating our needs from that energy, because it's going to come across really beautifully. And remembering too, and it's one thing to know and it's another thing to do, but it's never about you. People have their lives, people are doing their things, and we logically know that. But the main thing to learn is also in this is to not make it about us. Because the more we create story in our mind, the more we're creating our own suffering.
Right?
I'm
I
rejected.
Can see how I do that.
I'm this. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. No one's here to, whatever the stories are, right? And it's like, but it may not mean that. It may just be that they couldn't provide on that day because they had something else on, or because whatever reason. And so it's just, like,
absolutely.
again, like really catching yourself when you're going into that. And then again, same thing, taking breath, bringing yourself back to the moment, using those somatic tools to really connect back into your body and into the present moment. Because for most of us, we just live way too far out in the past where we create depression, or way too out in the future where we create anxiety because, we're not there yet, or what if we don't get there yet? Right. So the more we can bring ourselves back to this moment right here in this, through connecting to our body, connecting with what is around us, noticing the beauty, noticing the taste in our mouth, smelling the smell of fresh cookies or coffee or cacao. Right.
Cacao.
Just really
always cacao.
And really being in that. And again, those things we can do in the moments in between. And one of the things that I see in your chart that I wanted to speak into is our conscious sun. So when we look at our chart, the very top right number makes up about 70% of our energy. And it's a really big piece in terms of when we start to feel frustration, right? Because you relate to feeling frustrated, right?
Yeah.
At times.
Totally.
And so when we're feeling frustrated, quite often it's because we're forcing, pushing, willing it, trying to make it happen so much. And so that frustration is actually there to say something's out of alignment. So we want to use that frustration. Okay, what's out of alignment? Possibly it could be that your own needs haven't been met. So you're just giving to everyone else, or you've said yes to something that you didn't mean yes to. And so that feels out of alignment, and you're pissed off because you said something that you didn't really want to say yes to, but you felt obligated. So you said yes, or you just feel like you're obligated. Right. So it's really important that so coming back to your conscious sun is gate 27. And so gate 27, as I'm saying, like, this is 70% of the energy. So what I was saying was, when something does feel out of alignment, this is a really good place to look. It's a great place to come back to and kind of look at, in the sense of, am I providing this for myself now? Am I in the high expression of this energy, or am I in the low expression? So the high expression is like the high frequency. I'm like, really embodying the fullness of this energy, versus the low expression, which is the opposite, which is I'm in the low expression of this energy. And so this gate 27 is caring for others from an abundant overflow. Now, how often are you caring for others from an abundant overflow?
There was one time back in 1995, I think. It's been a while. It's been a while.
And so
it has been a while.
Yeah, of course, right? And look how this is, boom, it's staring you in the face. So this gate is the gate of caring, and it's all about caring. So it's like you have this natural energy to care for others and nurture others and provide, right? Like provide nourishment, and you make cacaos for all of us, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Nicole, I love you, and you're nourishing me. And there's also this theme of protection for survival as well. And so it has a lot of energy, right? It has the energy to do it. Yet the thing is, the thing that I want you to remember is, just because I can doesn't mean I should. Because otherwise we just keep giving. Our tank is fucking empty. And then we're pissed off with the world because you're like, well, I fucking give everything to everyone and no one gives anything to me. But how much are you giving to yourself?
Yeah, nothing. And this is probably the exact reason that things are not moving as fast as I want them to in my side. What I want to do with my life ultimately, because what I want to do, and what sort of the statement that embodies what I want to do, is find a center, fill your cup, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And probably what's holding me back from doing that is that I'm not living that yet. And that's my big frustration, which it's all so connected.
It's
and
all
it all
connected.
just, I'm going to go back and listen to this like 100 times over. This is all so relevant, and so like I've got these little light bulbs just popping, going,
Amazing.
oh,
so
how have I missed this?
Well, the thing is, right, my movement is richness without the hustle or the sacrifice. But why is that my movement? Because that's what I've fucking been through. Same for you.
Yeah.
It's like your purpose, you're also bringing the theme of your purpose into your work, which doesn't always happen that clearly. But it's your work, right? It's if I'm going to stand for that, it's my work. Like richness without the hustle is my fucking work, to create that within myself consistently.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, right? There's times when I just want to fucking keep doing and doing and doing. And can I? Yeah, I can. And sometimes I don't need to do that, right? So it's the same thing for you, babe. It's really about finding the energy, creating the energy this gate is all about the energy of the balance between self-care and caring for others. It's
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of don't really love the word balance, because it's like balance is like a middle point, and I feel like there's no way we're ever going to be like in this stagnant middle point of balance. It's more of like, it's like a moving balance, you know? It's like sometimes it's a
Yeah,
bit too much over here, and then sometimes it's a bit too much over there,
exactly.
and it's just going to be this constant. But what happens is, if you think about the pendulum, right? If it's caring for others and it's like way over, too far over the side, there's nothing over here for us. And then we might go the other way and be like, well,
Mhm.
fuck everyone else, and it's just all about me, which probably couldn't happen for you anyway, based on your situation. But, you know, like it could, right? Some people
Yeah,
could be like
yeah.
that and just care about themselves and not others. But it's not about that. It's about, how do I play this game? Because it is a game. Life is a game,
Mm-hmm.
where it's
Mm-hmm.
this, right? Like responsibility. And this is a key word for you, taking responsibility to be following in alignment with your values, what's important to you, knowing
Yeah.
what your needs are, being able to communicate those needs from a healthy place. That, like, when we're communicating boundaries and we're like, rah, 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 in that fight response, that is not going to work. People are not going, you know, do you ever want to do something when someone's yelling at you? Right? Like
No.
it does. So it's like, from a regulated energy, asking for needs to be met, or asking and making requests. And then it's like beliefs, thoughts, values, actions, all of this needs to like be a healthy relationship within yourself. And then it's going to be able to be outpoured for others and caring for others. So this low expression, when we're not in the high balanced expression of this energy, then it's like kind of taking incorrect responsibility, like an out of alignment responsibility for other people's needs, and therefore
Mm-hmm.
sacrificing self and caring for others. And sometimes that can be in order to feel worthy. It can be in order to create a sense of safety, because when I'm doing that, I feel safe. When I'm doing that, I feel worthy.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm
Yeah,
doing
when
that,
I'm
I
needed.
feel like I'm a part of, you know, I belong.
Mm-hmm.
Resonate?
Or yeah, all of it.
Yeah. And so it's noticing that, noticing, and one other thing, you have the open will center, which is the very small little triangle that points up. And that energy is the need to prove. And so it's, again, just bringing that awareness of nothing to prove. My needs, and knowing what your needs are, is the most important thing, first and foremost, that I want you to really bring back in. And sometimes it's going to require a lot of responsibility, because you don't have someone external to say, what do you need? You
Mm,
know, sometimes Curtis can say to
yeah.
me, what do you need? And sometimes it triggers the hell out of me, because I'm like, I don't know what I need, you know. But we
Yeah.
can do that, and we can go
I
into,
do.
I don't
I
know.
have friends who check in and say, "What do you need?" And I'm just
Beautiful.
like, I don't know what I need. I don't know what I need. But yes,
Yeah.
you're right. I do know. I
And
just feel into
that
it.
question is the question I'm encouraging you to sit with, and get to know your needs, and get to know what they are. And then how do
Hmm.
I communicate that as well? Because it is a practice. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. I found that question so confronting when I was first asked that so many years ago by my bestie. And it was like, what? Why are you asking me that? I don't know what I need. Don't ask me that.
Yeah.
What? You
You're
know,
hard.
because I have this same energy, and I, you know, we all have it within us in some capacity. But then one other thing, um, is underneath the conscious sun. So that's your conscious sun. Underneath the conscious sun is the conscious earth. And the earth, if you think about earth, right, it's about grounding. So in order to support us to fully thrive in this energy of the sun, the earth also is important, because that's what supports us to be grounded in it. Okay. And so this energy of the gate 28 is embraces the wisdom of fear, and allows you to walk alongside it, because fear is something that you experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That
absolutely.
that unsafetyness is a fear that's running, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
what it is, it's about developing a relationship with your fear. So the way that I picture it is kind of like, you know, like two girls like skipping along at the beach together and they're like linking arms and they're just like frolicking along.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way that I imagine this, of the relationship you want to build with fear. It's like, my fear is never going to go away, right? Like, it's there for me.
Mm.
And I want to love it. I want to bring it in. I don't want to push it away. I don't want to be like, fuck off fear, because that's not going to help. And when you can do
Mm.
that, actually what that's going to do for you is help you experience a deep sense of satisfaction and joy in overcoming all of the obstacles that you're here to overcome as you move towards the meaning within your life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, because this
Yeah.
gate is actually the fear of death. It's the fear of purposelessness. It's located in the spleen. So it's a fear, it's an awareness center, it's a fear-based energy. So it's like, so what can happen, right? If you think about what you're talking about, oh, like I'm not being patient. The energy of this in the low expression is, oh my God, come on, I just need to be there. Like, let's go. Why am I not there yet? Because I'm so afraid that I'm never going to get there and I'm never going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So then you avoid stillness and silence and slowing down, and you just push yourself so freaking hard that you know, if you think about the tank being empty, right? Like, can you see how these two kind of energies
Yeah.
can work together? And so when you can dispel that fear and link arms with it, and just use it as a way to become intimate with and master it energetically, and there's like, you know, shadow work and things that would support you with that, but
Yeah.
ultimately that is going to like really support the grounding of you to then slow down, find stillness, find those moments, and nurture yourself and give to yourself and walk in alignment with your values. But it is going to require like really playing with that fear.
Mm. Which is scary.
It is. It is. And it's so much where we just want to push it away and not have it there, rather than embrace it in. So it's
Yeah.
really about like, you know, this is part of me. We all experience fear at some level. And how can I just really like embrace this and embody this? And this gate is actually part of a channel, and you do have the full channel. And the channels is basically from one gate connecting to another gate, connecting one center to the other center. It's 28 to 38, and it's actually called the channel of struggle. Not only do you have the channel of
Mm-hmm.
struggle, you also have a 3-line in your profile, which is trial and error. It's the martyr. And it's so go through life, experience all the, like the
Oh,
challenges, as many challenges as possible, so that you can, you know, live to tell the story about them and, you know, go on this exciting adventure. Now,
yeah.
the channel of struggle has a bit of a bad rap because it's called struggle, right?
Yeah. Doesn't sound enticing.
It doesn't. But here's the thing with the the channel of struggle and the reframe of it. Because if you think about, you know, what you've been through, you could say, my life's a struggle, like all the things that I've got to deal with it, and so many others don't have to deal with. And oh my God, like Curtis was away 2 weeks ago for like 5 days. And I was like, oh, this single parenting stuff sucks. Like thinking about Nicole, I'm like, oh, I don't know how she does it. You know, it's, oh gosh, I have so much
Yeah.
respect for single mamas. Like, oh, and you got two as well. And I've only got one. But it's like basically facing the darkness of life with courage. And this is that piece of bringing in the fear into partnership with it and using it to fuel you, because it's about fighting for the things that matter. And you know,
Yeah.
you love to fight for the things that matter to you, and you have a strong belief in the things that matter. And so it's basically the energy of this is naturally, without even having to try, it's like you're willing to take risks in life. You're willing to fight for what it is that you believe in. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
there's a part of you, and you reject this if it's not true for you, but there's a part of you that kind of enjoys fighting against kind of overcoming these seemingly insurmountable challenges and obstacles.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Definitely. Yeah. I, I've
Because
I've I've always been like up for any sort of fight, and yeah, always. My
because
my father told me I should have been a lawyer.
yeah, totally.
I
It's
just like to
like
fight. Yeah.
it's like you can thrive in that environment, right? It's like, and it gives you that
Yeah.
meaning and purpose. And so it's like can help you feel grounded here on earth as you're evolving and growing. And so what's important though, because this is what's important is that you're recognized for that. So when you have like with the people in your life, you know, it's good if they know this about you, that you know you can even tell them. Like my projector friends,
Mhm.
I know that they need to be recognized, and I recognize them. You know, I see them. And so this, while you're not a projector, this is a projected channel. So it's like being seen in that helps support you. And so sometimes it's like
Yeah.
communicating those aspects of yourself to the people around you and saying, you know, it helps me and supports me a lot when I'm really recognized in what I'm doing and what I'm accomplishing. And it just helps to fuel me even more, right? That
Yeah. It yeah, definitely does.
and so
Yeah.
it's about also getting out of that victim energy of life is a struggle. And again, where that responsibility is so important for you to be like, you know what, this is part of my destiny. This is part of what I'm here for. And within that is one of the biggest learnings when in relationship to fear is because the shadow is control. I need to control it. And so why you don't trust is because you need to control it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right? Resonate? Or you're like, oh,
Mhm.
she's seen me. Oh, you know. So it's the
Oh
opposite.
gosh.
The opposite is trust. Like if you're in full
Yeah.
surrender, that this is gonna work out. Because, you know, one of the hardest things and one of the things I support my clients with is being able to maintain their vision and keep going through the tension. Those tension points where life gets really hard and you're
Mhm.
like, this is so hard. Like, what's the point of it? You know, we get to those moments where like, what's the point of this? Well, what's the point is that vision.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what do you need to do for yourself to be able to keep holding yourself through those tension points, still maintaining the vision without stressing yourself and needing to control it or needing it to go a certain way? Because the truth is we can't control any of that. And everything is being pulled to us. The people, the opportunities, the places, the challenges, they're being pulled to us as part of the
Mhm.
journey that we think we're in control of, but we're really not.
No, no, I'm totally in control. What are you talking about? Completely.
Right? So it's chipping away and like, how would this look if I really surrendered? How would this look if I, you know, went away for the day and didn't, I don't know, like have it planned out or whatever, right? It's like just starting with little bits of letting go. And over
Yeah.
time we just, you know, step deeper into the more challenging things of where we can surrender and let go and trust in the unknown. And that, you know, for me, that journey has been about my connection with source and co-creating with spirit.
Mm.
Because when we trust that there is a higher force that is there supporting us as we raise our frequency, I ask for things and it lands in my lap. And it could take a couple of days, sometimes it could take a week, but it's like the more we start leveraging off that, the more we start to see the evidence that that is true. But until we start playing with that,
Mm.
then we don't believe it because we're too much in the 3D and in the control of it. And then we only have the evidence that I need to make it happen. It's all up to me. And if I don't control it, then it's going to be chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of those words go into my, like, all of that.
Is your
All of
internal
that.
dialogue.
Yeah. Like, as soon as you said, a couple of days or a week, and I'm like, well, how do you know? Like, what if it's going to take longer? And I'll have to just go and do it. Like, I can't wait for that to happen. I just have to go and make it happen. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
straight
And
into.
that's the conditioning. And I've even said that too. Like we're the creators. We got to make it happen, and that is that's the masculine energy.
Yeah. Which is,
So
I think that's one of my biggest challenges too, is that balancing of the masculine and feminine energy, and having
exactly.
to be both in my family.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think I probably, in order for the life that we have to function as well as it does, I have to have a certain amount of control. So when it comes time to let go of that, it's like I can't let go completely, is what my mind says to me, because I still need to maintain that sort of container of order for this family to function. And then it's like, well, it's just too hard. It's too hard to just surrender and release and trust and do it to a certain extent, and then come back in and take over. And, you know, it's that. And I guess that's something, again, I've been working on for at least the last few years, since sort of becoming conscious of masculine and feminine energy, and what each of those represents in our lives, trying to find that balance. And I think even before being a solo mama, I was very much in my masculine energy my whole life.
Yeah.
So that feminine energy and that trust and that surrender,
Yeah.
and getting comfortable in that. And it's so interesting hearing of all the channels and the gates, and all the words that you're saying around those are just like, yep, 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 uh-huh. Martyr, victim. Like, I can see how I've played all of that out in my life, and do sink back into that at different times, especially around the solo parenting. And yeah, it feels so warming inside when people recognize what I'm doing, and strangers, friends, whoever, and just acknowledge how much I am doing for my children, and to make this life happen. That is such a, hearing the word, especially words around how, you know, well the boys are turning out
Yeah.
despite all that's gone on in their lives. Like, that just fills me up with. And then, that, like, how do you do it? Like, when someone says to me, I don't even know how you do it, I feel like superwoman. Like, yeah,
Mm.
I do so much, and I feel amazing when I feel acknowledged.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that you have said has been like nail on the head.
I love it. And that's what I love about this, because it just shows us, it reinforces things that we experience. It kind of confirms it. And then it also gives us something to play with. Okay. So here's the high expression of it. Here's
Mhm,
the low expression. Okay. So my work is to regulate my nervous system and
mhm,
do that in a way that supports me to feel safety in my own body, and start to raise my frequency towards being, thinking, operating in that, in that high energy, high frequency. So start,
mm,
start with the simple things. Start with that, regulate those regulation pieces that I've given you. And of course, that deep awareness, attunement is the thing that I'm always talking about. So tuning in, what's live in my body right now, what response am I in right now, and then acknowledge this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm at, and then acceptance that it's there, not need to make it wrong, and then it's time. Then I can make a new choice from there, and I can stop and pause and take a few breaths, or look outside, or laugh at myself, or do whatever I need to do to take that
mhm,
responsibility for me. Because ultimately, when I take care of me, everything else gets to be so much more smooth and easy. And
yeah.
knowing that you have that fear, right, as a piece that you just get to also experiment with and play with, and, bring a new approach to. And I think bringing playfulness and bringing fun and bringing like a gamification into our lives is like the only way we can start to chill out a little bit, because otherwise it just gets
Yeah.
so serious. And um, the more you can, just really be in the playfulness of the things, and just so much compassion for it, and The other one thing I just wanted to say is, even though masculine structures and, you know, like order, like that is still really important, right? Because that then creates the safety for us to go, okay, I can lean back because I have those foundations. But then it's, yeah, like you say, then it's like taking those moments to go, okay, it's time for me to pause, or it's time for me to take a night off, or whatever, even as confronting as that may be. Right? Like having a night or two away, like, you know, that's something for you to like really lean into and work on. And it's like, no matter what, everyone's going to be okay. And like leaning into the discomfort, like that's where you get to like grab fear and like hook arms with her and be like, all right, we got this, you know, like we're gonna have fun with this. This is new. This is different. This is like me on the edge, and I'm willing to lean into that, because what's the other side of it is just sameness. You know, we're not willing to do things that are
which is not
different.
working.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest thing that you're taking away and hearing in all of this for yourself? Because I ended up
that I
giving
can
you a
do.
lot, which I said I wasn't
No,
going to
that's
do, but I did.
amazing. It was it's been amazing. It has absolutely, like I said, it's just all of the words have such meaning. Everything that you've said has such meaning and reflects some part of me. And whether it's, you know, I've been there before, I'm going there, or where I want to be. And it's so, you know, I've had 100,000 thoughts going through my mind as you've been speaking, and I'm going to listen back to this, like I said, probably 100 times, you know, just to really take it in.
Yeah.
But the breath, like I will start with that. I will start with like doing that pattern interrupt in that moment. You know, I have the awareness of it, and I just go with it anyway. But I can stop in that moment, and I can take a breath. I can remove myself. I can go outside. I can do something really, really silly. And I do need to bring more joy into my life. And I have been focusing on more joy, but more joy has sort of just been showing up as gratitude or beauty. But that silliness, I think, is like, you've met my kids, you know how easy that would be to bring into my life, and just like roll with that. And, you know, and like perfect, like perfect little teachers right in front of me. And my friends too, like we need a night around the campfire where we can say, you know, tell ridiculous jokes again. Like that has me in hysterics and silly. And so bringing more moments like that. I think it's come up for me a lot in the past few weeks, to take time for myself. During a session, it came up through kinesiology, and then literally the boys set up a little ceremony for me. We pulled some cards, and it was take time out for yourself. From two separate decks of cards, both came up as take time out for yourself. And you know, I've been thinking about it, playing around with it, trying to talk to friends about, can we go somewhere, can we do something? Because I don't want to go by myself. And I actually think that's really terrifying for me, to go away somewhere on my own and be by myself. And that's what I think I need to do.
Yeah, there you go. I invite you to take on. I invite you to take that on. Absolutely.
I will.
Oh, I can't think of anything better. Love that.
Oh, no, sleeping on my own, like not having little snuggle buddies come in and give me
get to spread out. No one wrapping themselves around you. That's the best. Oh, I love it.
You know, they both slept in their own bed the other night. And I was awake for over half the night and was stressing and anxious, and I'm like, gosh, this is not good. This is not healthy. I really do need to get comfortable with being with myself.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that probably, I would say, will flow onto me actually being more nourishing of myself, because you can do that when you're alone.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the invitation.
Yeah, I've taken a lot.
Awesome. Yes.
I know. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
What a pleasure. What a gift. I'm looking forward to, staying in touch and hearing what you end up doing, and that challenge that you've even invited yourself forth to do. You can keep me posted with that. And I look forward to, just seeing how you play with this and how it unfolds for you.
I'll keep you
Amazing.
posted.
Awesome. Thank you, my love.
Thank you. Thank you so much.